Alright, peace be upon you, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Now, in today's video, I just want to speak about trolls and debates and specifically why I don't engage in comment section debates. I rarely accept any offer to debate unless unless there's one specific criteria which is sufficed if they can meet that. And that is, I will only debate somebody if they have a name and a face, and preferably name and face out in public, and also a body of work which I can study and take a look at. So you'll have all these people online, what are their names? It'd be like Captain Zorgatron, of the planet Peregrine Falconia, just some ridiculous online avatar persona. And these people, and you'll see them in comment sections everywhere. My channel, Brother Sam Garens, everywhere. These people, everywhere. No name, no face, no picture, just and they're always experts on theology. They're always experts on science. They're always experts on this, that, and the other. And the reason why I don't engage them, and it's not like, if somebody, I can tell when somebody is genuinely, honestly asking a question, just wanting to know my side, my perspective, and when somebody is just trying to waste my time. And the reason why I don't deal with these people, unless they show their name in the face, then I'll accept a debate, and they never do. You'll see, like, even some of my older videos, that they'll be, asking me all these questions. I said, do you want to debate this publicly? If you put your name and face out there, I'll do it. And they never do it. And the reason why is because, in the Quran, God assures us that when truth comes, vanity vanishes away. Vanity does not remain in the earth. Lies don't remain in the earth. The only thing that remains in the earth is the truth. So at some point or another, all these lies that these guys peddle, that I disagree with, like the Sunni religion, the supposed necessity of the Hadith when interfacing with the Quran, the globe earth, the Quran doesn't teach that the earth is flat and stationary, things like that. Okay. These lies are going away, and the truth will be made known. The truth will be established. And usually when a great lie falls down, or when it breaks into pieces, it often goes down not alone, but with a lot of bloodshed, a lot of political turmoil, a lot of nations being overthrown. A lot of chaos happens when a great lie falls down. So I know that this is basically just a ticking time bomb. All these great lies we're taught. We need the Hadith, the Sunni religion. You got to do this idolatrous Hajj thing in Mecca, the globe earth. All these lies we're taught. And when this comes down, and the lies are exposed, I want proof. I want anybody who's debating against me, I want clear, solid evidence and proof that you were on the wrong side of history, and now you are going to pay the price. All this stuff is going to come down. So you see these people online, these trolls, no name, no face. I think it's just one big game. They can just chit chat. They're all these experts. I want you, if you really believe in the things you're saying, you will be confident enough, to stand for it openly, publicly, and face the accountability that comes with it. I'm doing that. My name and face is out there. My name is Walid Naeem, and you can see who I am, and I am standing for the Quran alone, flat earth position, and there's an accountability associated with that. I believe I'm going to win. I know that I have the truth. I know that we have the truth, and that these guys are upon falsehoods. So when those falsehoods come down, I want documented evidence that you were on the wrong side of history, and now you are going to pay the price. And if you are not willing to stand with that kind of integrity behind your beliefs, then there's no point in me engaging you. No point at all. You see, these guys like Muhammad Hijab and Jay Dyer, they have a name and a face out there. We know, hey, Muhammad Hijab is standing for the Sunni religion, Jay Dyer is standing for the Orthodox Christian religion. And when these things go down, and they will go down, they can be held accountable. Great. When we see very clearly how this religion is a lie, the Sunni religion, it has, in a sense, held the Quran as hostage and taught us a mushrik religion, a shirk religion, as that is pretended to be Quranic. When this all goes down, Muhammad Hijab is going to pay the price. When the Orthodox religion and all of its endemic, disgusting corruption that has existed pretty much since the beginning of its inception, the Orthodox and Catholic Church. When this goes down, Jay Dyer is going to be held accountable, and he's going to pay the price. Now, it doesn't matter who you are, even if you're user 549 and you're just, spreading your half-baked theology and opinions in people's comment section, you're still going to be held accountable anyways, even if your name and face isn't out there, because God is going to hold you accountable on Judgment Day. But I'm talking specifically about this life. When this war goes down and society falls apart and we see the lies for what they are, I like I said, I want there to be definitive proof that you were on the incorrect side of history. You were standing for the lies. You were either making money for or compromising yourself for comfort. And now it's time for you to pay because you were holding humanity back. These Globe Earth guys, Dave Farina, Professor Dave Explains, FTFE, Craig, these guys are out there. They're going to pay the price. And I want you guys, anybody who wants to debate me or pretty much have a conversation with me, or at least have this kind of heated discussion and exchange, unless you're asking me questions honestly, which I can always tell when you are and when you aren't. If you're not, if you're so smart and you know I'm wrong, you know how I'm incorrect, then come out with your name and your face. If not, then I'm not going to entertain you, because clearly you are not confident in your position at all, because if you were, then you'd be willing to come out there and stand behind it openly. So that's my policy, and that's really my reflection today as well. I want you guys to have good faith, good hope, and be cheerful. Know that, all the brothers and sisters who follow me, listen to my work, that the lies are coming down and the truth will be made known. And all of these people that stood for the lies, they are going to pay the dearest price in this life and the hereafter. You best believe it. It is a dangerous thing to be on the false side of history, and I'm making sure that I'm on the right side, the side of truth. It may take its time, but the truth will come out there, and the lies, they're going to fade into oblivion. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's really all I got to say on the matter. I hope this talk was a blessing. And yeah, peace to you. Remember, deceit abounds, so keep your eyes wide open. Peace out. Peace and blessings in the name of the Most High, viewer. My name is Walid Naeem, and I am a zealous submitter to the one true God, the creator of all mankind. Do you notice something wrong with the world? Something strange? Despite us having a church, synagogue, and mosque in every neighborhood, how has this entire Western civilization fallen into abject atheism, nihilism, and savagery? Why does life just seem so dull, so meaningless, and so devoid of anything real in the Occidental world? Despite the ubiquitous presence of these religious institutions, why are our so-called Muslim sons in large numbers drinking, smoking, partying, and chasing after women, with no seeming desire to do anything more with their life other than satisfy their base pleasures, when God has commanded them to be clean, righteous, and responsible leaders of their community? And why are our hijabi so-called Muslim daughters walking around with tight jeans that reveal their figure, with TikTok accounts posting semi-provocative, self-absorbed videos of themselves online for the world to see, when God has commanded them to lengthen their garments and be modest in their mannerisms? What has happened here? These young men and women are supposed to be making themselves right before God, while raising the next generation of ardent defenders of the holy faith. But it seems that Islam features no more in their lives other than a scarf on their head, a Friday fidgeting around in the mosque when their parents force them to go against their will, or a decorative hanger in their car. At this rate, if God allows us to continue going down the road it is, then Islam and the Quran will become pretty much non-existent in the lives of most of our descendants, if it wasn't already non-existent now. If we do not take a stand soon, in a few generations, our children's children will likely be indistinguishable from the secular West. Is that the kind of world we want to live in? Our kids to live in? A world practically devoid of the remembrance of the one God and all things sane? I obviously can't speak for you, but for my own self, I can personally say, count me out of it. I'm not going to sit here and just watch my brothers and sisters, those who claim to believe in God alone, believe in Judgment Day, His prophets and angels, and all the other aspects of this holy creed, get duped into going to hell. I'm not going to let this happen without at least something of an effort on my end to reroute this dark trajectory. So, again, how in the world do we end up here? There is a mosque in practically every neighborhood in the West, and no shortage of donations that get dropped in their boxes. They have had lots of funding, lots of time, and unquestioning support from their respective congregations, yet somehow have been run over by the secular atheist. All of their so-called Muslim children go to the atheist, secular public schools for most of their week to be taught beliefs that are completely incompatible with the Quran. And we wonder why they have ended up the way they are. If these houses, and by these houses I mean the mosques, were truly of God, that were doing everything right, then why would our Lord let them get so decisively trampled upon by their enemies? Why do the wicked have all of the reins of power here? Clearly, something is not adding up. Well, it is my thesis here today that the vast, vast majority of mosques that exist in this world today have lost their way and follow a religion which is completely foreign to the Quran. This is why they have failed so miserably in the West, and it seems that God has forgotten them. In truth, the real reason behind their shortcoming is that they, and many of us, have forgotten God himself, which is why he has left us here collecting our bitter receipts. So, what are my exact criticisms of the mosques today? As a Muslim and a man committed to the truth above all else, what are my personal gripes with their institution, which claims to be for God? The first glaring problem I can think of is that the majority of people who call themselves Muslim have allied themselves with a body of literature that is foreign to the Word of God, treating it equal to, and in fact above, the Quran itself. Of course, I am talking about the Hadith. Listen, the facts are this. There is no justification within the Quran which tells us to follow this Hadith stuff, which came hundreds of years after the Prophet Muhammad died, and therefore he could have had no ability to oversee what people have said about him and determine if it is true or false. It is now becoming crystal clear, especially in the last 10 to 20 years, that many, many things that have been ascribed to him in their most quote-unquote authoritative texts, which they call their Sahih Hadiths, are forgeries that directly contradict God's final revelation. To take these words of men, i.e. the Hadith, and hold them to be equally authoritative to the words of God would be breaking the first and most important commandment, which is to worship God alone, making no equals with him. To say that these supposed words of Muhammad, which are not even Muhammad's own words, but simply very doubtful rumors about what people who existed hundreds of years after him say he said, that have been decided upon by the scholars as authoritative, holds equal, or in fact any weight in our faith comparable to the verbatim words of God himself, the Holy Quran, is idolatry. You are exalting man's words to the status of divinity, which should only be given to God's words. Nothing comes even close to the Quran, because God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, is its author. This includes the Hadith too, which pales in comparison and is superfluous to the glorious Quran. If you are interested in seeing a full refutation of the Hadith, you may watch my video titled A Defense of Prophet Muhammad, David Wood and Hadith Exposed, which is linked below. In it, along with refuting and putting in his place the worst opponent of Islam on the internet, Mr. David Wood, I also expose how the Hadith is completely contradictory to the Quran and the source of much of the Muslim world's problems. It is a 2-hour-long documentary where I seek to demonstrate the true character of Muhammad in the Quran, defending his history and personality with primary source quotations. I clear the last prophet of God's name from the people who have tarnished his reputation the most, which are certain types of Christians, and, sad to say, Hadith-following Muslims, which have said many terrible things about him. No, Muhammad was not a money-hungry, tyrannical warlord who married a 6-year-old girl. He was a shy, humble, meek man who married adult women, had compassion for even his worst enemies, and oftentimes had a tough time even standing up for himself out of fear of hurting other people's feelings. This is all demonstrated in detail in my video. Once again, the link for that will be in the description under the tab, The True Character of Muhammad in the Quran. So that is the first problem with the mosques, the reason for which I feel they have been forsaken by God, their adoption of an apostate literature which contradicts their foundational scripture. The second point of contention I have with many of the mosques is their seeming unwillingness to say anything controversial which may make them face persecution from their government. The fact that 9/11 was not only an inside job, but the fact that no planes hit the Twin Towers on that day, and the whole charade was a hoax designed by the governments of the world to forever frame the Muslim people as terrorists and justify invasions in our countries, should be taught to every man, woman, and child. This great fraud of the September attacks has left such a lasting, enduring reputation on every brown person and Muslim in general that it should be discussed in every mosque. Our people are not responsible for that crime, but it was the governments of the world who carried out that plot and framed us for it. 9/11 is just only one small example, though. There are many, many other quote unquote conspiracy theories, which are really just conspiracy facts, avoided by the mosques due to their controversy, like the fact that the monetary system in the West is an ungodly scam based on usury, the fact that the so called healthcare system is a predatory empire which doesn't try to cure anybody but instead makes money off of human suffering, the fact that sodomite propaganda is being promoted to the masses, including our children, and the fact that the thing which I will call the C19er, to avoid censorship, was a hoax perpetrated by the powers that be to greatly expand their police state, censorship incentives, and surveillance systems worldwide in order to create their new world order, and much more. These governments that have occupied our lands are de facto terrorist regimes, and the mosques seem to say nothing of it. They appear to be more concerned with not being labeled extremists while they live their comfortable, well-funded lives, avoiding topics that are hard to deal with due to the abject persecution they bring. That is my second problem with them. They're at the very least lack of awareness, or if not, perhaps lack of willingness to address the real geopolitical situation going on in the world. And lastly, my third trouble with the mainstream mosques, which can also be put into the category of conspiracy facts, is their complete ignorance on the true nature of the earth. It may sound as a shock to you, my viewer, that the Quran, the Bible, and in fact all of the ancient scriptures teach the earth is flat and stationary. This is the only model of the world which is compatible with those texts and also scientifically provable. This flat earth conspiracy, which should really be called the globe earth conspiracy, is one of the biggest lies of the modern world, we are told, and goes in line with what I said earlier about the endemic corruption of the governments of the world. Everything you have been told about where you live is a fabrication, and the space agencies are a shameless hoax. For a fully detailed presentation on the subject of flat earth, where I demonstrate the science, the history, the philosophy, the verses in the Bible and Quran proving it, and much more, you can read my book titled The Flat Earth Manifesto, which is linked in the description. This work runs to nearly 1,200 pages and is practically a textbook on not only the topic of flat earth, but the subject of physics proper, and I expose the biggest fraudulent religion of the West, which is science worship, otherwise known as scientism. As with all of my work, it too is available for free. No, you do not live on a pathetic speck of dust spinning around in the middle of nowhere in space. You live in a brilliant, intelligently designed terrarium created by God and are at the center of the universe. Again, to learn more, the link to the Flat Earth Manifesto will be in the description. Those right there are my three biggest scores against the mosques of today. There are more points I could bring up, but these are the major ones. These are the controversies which have estranged me from the rest of the so-called Muslim world. Believe me when I say that I would love to join them, and that it hurts me so deeply that I have to pit myself up against the very institution I was born and raised in, the mosques I attended from childhood, whose carpets upon which I walked, stood, prayed, and listened to the preaching in my earliest years. But that is the price to pay for the truth. My commitment to God and what is right is more important than my emotional attachments to a place that was once dear to my heart. Simply put, this is why I think God has forsaken us. This is why I think that the mosques have been steamrolled by the secular atheist. It is because most of us have abandoned the word of God, neglected preaching the truth, and instead chosen comfort over courageous action. That is my thesis to why this great falling away in the West has taken place. If this sounds shocking to you, if it sounds so unbelievable that the majority of the so-called Muslim world could be deceived so badly, then I simply have these verses in the Quran to show you. In the name of God, the Almighty and the Merciful. Chapter 6, verse 116. And if thou obey most of those upon the earth, they will lead thee astray from the path of God. They follow only assumption, and they are only guessing. Chapter 25, verse 30. And the messenger will say, O my Lord, my people took this Quran as a thing abandoned. God has really predicted this a millennia ago. He knew that the people who follow what is really right are few and far between, that the majority of men and women are led astray, and the people who claim to love Muhammad the most, i.e. mainstream Muslims, would abandon the glorious Quran. God has revealed to us 1,000 years ago that this all would be the case. It is my mission, therefore, by the will of God, to band together with like-minded believers who have understood the truth and work together to build a new institution from the ground up, founded upon prudent fear. We need to start fresh, start anew. We need to build a new mosque where people can hear the unfiltered preaching from the Quran alone, where men and women can get married, where children can play and be educated in the truth, and where the name of the Most High God, without any associate partners, can be remembered. We need a group of highly dedicated men who will raise and defend this institution with their own hands if need be, and go out into the world warning people of the punishment of God, bearing witness to the truth of his oneness. That is my mission, my viewer. If you found that this mission of mine has touched your heart and is something you want to get involved with, then feel free to contact me in the email below. I am located in Ontario, Canada, and I'm looking forward to form a community with like-minded believers who want to contribute to this great cause. I am neither a nationalist nor racially biased. If you follow the Quran alone and believe in the truth, then as far as I'm concerned, you are my brother in the faith. I prefer you over someone of my own kindred who denies God and commits corruption in the earth. My loyalties are primarily ideological, not racial. Remember, my viewer, that this life is short. Everything we do and don't do is recorded by God and will either bear witness for us or against us on the day of judgment. Hell is eternal, and I do not know about you, but as for me, I want to meet my Creator in the best state possible. I want to spend my life struggling to build up my people, the true Muslims, so that God may be pleased with me on that day. If you are interested in that, then feel free to join me. If not, then find something else good to do which will prepare you for your appointment with the Most High. That is where we are all going anyway. With that being said, I say peace and God bless to all of you good people. Take care, everyone.